here. Mitzvah Hashem, it'll end quickly and without any further Jewish blood being spilled. Yeah. All right, let's get started. Who's ever here is here, and who's ever not here is not here. Okay, so we're going to do first a very quick recap of the entire Sugyah, and then we'll plug it. We're going to tie everything together tonight, and everything is going to make sense, and it's going to be beautiful. Okay, gentlemen, are you ready? I need a resounding yes. This is a big deal.
Yeah. Ready.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, ready.
Let's go.
Let's go. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we started with the first Mishnah. The Mishnah told us, when do you read Shema? And we know what that means. That means Tzeisa Kachavim, right? The pasuk says, when is B'shoch B'cha? The Mishnah taught us Tzeisa Kachavim. Okay, and that's what we know is the time. Tzeisa Kachavim is the time to reading Shema. Okay, good. Rashi started with the obvious problem. If so, if the time to read Shema is by Tzeisa Kachavim, how do you explain when we daven earlier in shul? Why do we daven early? So the answer is, when we daven early and we say Shema before Tzeisa Kachavim, it has nothing to do with Shema. It's not Shema at all. It's just to keep Torah close to Tefillah, but really you have to read Shema over later, right? The reason why you read the Shema in davening is to lismo divrei Torah, but to be mekayim the mitzvah, it's actually much later at night when you lie down in bed and you read Kriya Shema. That's when you're actually yotze the mitzvah essay of Kriya Shema, and that's how Rashi answers this problem. Okay, now Tosfos doesn't like that answer at all. He has 4 questions on that. Number one, when we lie down to sleep at night, we only, according to Gemara, we only read the first parsha. So if you read the first parsha, you're not Yotzei Kriya Shema, because that has to be 2, right? The 3 Midirabanan, but certainly 2 parshas. And number 1, you're not Yotzei. Number 2, the Chazal instituted 2 brachas before and 2 brachas after Shema in Mariv. Now, if the Shema Mariv has nothing to do with Yotzei Mitzvah, essay of Kriya Shema, why in the world did they institute 2 brachas before and 2 brachas after? Makes no sense. Question number 2. Question number 3, the Gemara says that Kriya Shema Alamita is optional, and if you're Talmid Chacham, you don't have to do it. Well, once you don't have to do it, that's going to be pretty problematic, because you have to be Yotzei Mitzvah essay of Kriya Shema. And question number 4 is, there's a machlokes later on by Mariv whether you have to be Somech Geula L'Tfilah. And we hold you have to be. So if you have to be Somech Geula L'Tfilah, you're not going to do that according to Rashi, because you're not being Yotzei the Zechira of Yetzias Mitzrayim. Then it's too early, and when you're lying down to sleep, when you're doing Shema, that's when you probably should do remembering the Gula, and you're not. Okay, so therefore we have a major problem. Okay, now, so Tosfos answers as follows. Tosfos says, therefore Rabbeinu Tam says, the Kriya Shema of the basic Knesset is the Iker. When we daven Mariv early, before Tzeitz, that's the main Shema, and that's when you Yotzei Mitzvah say of Kriya Shema. You'll ask me, Kasha, we daven when it's still daylight outside, before Tzeitz. The answer is, we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda. Okay? Now, there's a machlokes between Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbanan, until when can you daven Mincha? Right? We know that Mincha Gedola starts at 6.5 hours. Here's Chatzos. A half hour after Chatzos starts Mincha Gedola. Now, Mincha is connected the Karban Tamid, and the first time for Shechting the Karban Tamid was 6.5 hours into the day, half hour after Chatzos. So Mincha can begin here. However, the Kohanim never brought the Karban Tamid, Shel Ben Arbayim, before 9.5 hours, with one exception, only Pesach, Erev Shabbos. And since it was always done in 9.5 hours, the correct time to do it is Mincha Ketana. Okay, very nice. Now, there's a machlokes between the Rabbanan and Rabbi Yehuda as to when does Mincha end, meaning everyone agrees that the earliest time to read Mincha is 6.5 hours, Mincha Gedola. Question is, when is the last time to daven Mincha? So that is a machlokes between Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbanan. Rabbanan said you could daven Mincha all the way up until nightfall. Whatever is nightfall for you, that's when you could daven Mincha to. Rabbi Yehuda says, no, you can only daven until Plag. What's Plag? Plag is you take the Mincha Ketana, you polig it, you split in half, 10 3/4 hours, that is the time period, Plag of Mincha. So again, according to Rabbanan, you could daven Mincha Erev this entire time, meaning Of course, you could really start at 6.5 hours, but the best time really is 9.5 hours. But this entire time period until evening, you could daven mincha. And according to Rabbi Yehuda, no, you can only daven up until plag, 10 3/4 hours stops. Plag and mincha is the stop. Okay, very good. Now, after this fact, right? So basically, what Tosas tells us is in this machlokas between Rabban and Rabbi Yehuda, we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda, there's man minchas until plag. Now, it's not clear how that helps us really, because the question really is, what does Rabbi Yehuda say after plag? What happens then? So really, Rabbeinu Tam has to take 2 steps, and this is very important. This is going to be very important later on, so please watch this carefully. Rabbeinu Tam makes 2 steps over here. Number 1, because Rabbi Yehuda says that the last time for Dam Mincha is plag, therefore you can Dam Mariv after plag. Step number 1. Okay? That's the first step. That since Mincha ends at plag, Mariv starts. Now, did Rabbi Yehuda say that? No. Is it a fair assumption? Yeah, maybe, I guess, but it's definitely an assumption. But that's not the difficult step. The difficult step is the next one. The next step is that, very nice, you could daven Mariv according to Rabbi Yehuda over here. That's step 1. But step 2 is, since Mincha ends at plag, it's then night, so you can read Shema. Meaning, what Tosa says is that since Rabbi Yehuda says this is plag is the last time daven Mincha, not only can you daven Mariv over here, it's also in regards to Kriya Shema, this is night. It's so much night that you could say Shema, and you could be Yotzei your mitzvah. Why? Because we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda. And that's his answer. We paskin like Rabbi Yehuda. Mincha stops over here, Mariv starts, and Shema starts. And because of paskin like Rabbi Yehuda, that's how you're able to read Shema early. All right, so far so good. Now Tosa says, very clever, very nice, but how do you explain the fact that many times we actually daven mincha after plag? I mean, there are times when we'll actually daven mincha after plag, meaning I just told you we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda, so much so that we're Rabbi Yehuda fans to the hilt, so much so that you could actually read Shema now because we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda. Sometimes we daven mincha then, and the only way you can daven mincha then is if you're paskin like the Rabbanon. So Tos's answer is, okay, you're right. We paskin like the Rabbanon. Meaning, those nights when we daven mincha after plag, we paskin like the Rabbanan. Okay? And meaning, when the Gemara says, if you hashlo idma, since we didn't pass like the Rabbanan, you can do like Mar, you can do like Mar. It's your choice. You want to daven, you want to hold like Rabbi Yehuda, you hold like Rabbi Yehuda. You want to hold like the Rabbanan, you hold like the Rabbanan. And everything's fine and well. Except, says Tosas, Mekomakam Kasha, Davikitrei Kuli Sachon Adadi, because really, it's a stira. Because you told me the reason why you say Shema, the reason why you daven Mariv over here is because you're passing Rabbi Yehuda, and the next night you daven Mincha over here because you hold like the Rabbanan. I make up my mind. It's either passing like Rabbi Yehuda and everything's good, or you're passing like the Rabbanan, everything's good. But don't tell me you're passing like both. That's very, very confused, very, very mixed up. Tart and Sasra Adadi. All right, gentlemen, so far so good. Everything's fine so far. Beautiful. Now we move on to the Re. What does the Re say? The Re says, no, I cannot accept the Tarti the Sasri that you just described, Tosas. Meaning, I agree with you that Mariv is the main time for Shema. You're 100% correct about that. But this idea of a Tarti the Sasri, I cannot tolerate that. No way. I can't accept it. And therefore, the Re has a different answer. And the Re says that Kriya Shema shall basic is Iker. Yes, Rabbeinu Tam, you got it right. Mariv is the time for Shema. We daven Mariv early. Must be we hold like those Tanaim of the Gemara who say that Shema is earlier. Meaning the Gemara in Daf Beis and Beis told us that there are 4 or maybe 5 shitas as to when it is that you could start reading Shema. Our Mishnah taught us Tzeis Kochavim, but that's not the only Tanaic opinion. There are a number of other Tanaic opinions. Either from the time that they make Kiddush Arvi Shabbosos, or when the Kohanim are Tahor, or when the Tovel, or when the Ani Nichlas Lechel Pita Belechem. So there are 4 or maybe 5 different time periods when it is that you can begin reading Shema. And the Re answers, that's how we hold. We pass like one of those other Tanaim, and now everything is fine and dandy, right? Because how do we read Shema before it says? The answer is we hold like those other Tanaim. All right, and that's Tosas. Okay, gentlemen, so far so good. Everybody with me? All right. Now we had 4 questions. Let's was there noise? No. Okay. We had 4 questions. 4 questions that we had on this Tosas were as follows. Question number 1 is as follows. Number 1, how did Rabbeinu Tam daven before this Mishnah? Meaning, Rabbeinu Tam says, Oivei, I have a stira. Sometimes dam mariv after plag. Sometimes dam mincha after plag. Tarti de sasri stira. That has nothing to do with Shema. Meaning, Tosas, when he all of a sudden says, we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda about Shema, all of a sudden he says, but now how do we explain mincha? Tosas, with all due respect, it has nothing to do with Shema. That's a good question. Why don't you ask it stam? I don't know where to ask it, but somewhere. And why don't you ask, how is it possible that sometimes dam mariv after plag, sometimes dam mincha after plag, it's a stira? What does it have to do with Rabbeinu Tam's opinion about Shema, the Yotze Shema? Meaning, it seems clear from Tosas that only because he said we answer Shema, the reason we're Yotze Shema right after plag is because we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda. Now that we paskin Rabbi Yehuda, I got a stira. What's my stira? Sometimes dam mariv, then sometimes dam mincha. That stira is a wonderful stira, nothing to do with Shema. It happens to be a contradiction. Either you paskin Rabbi Yehuda and you could dam mincha. The last time dam mincha is plag and dam mariv after, or you paskin like Rabbanan. The last time dam mincha is seis and you could dam mincha until plag. But you can't paskin like both. But that question has nothing to do with Shema. That's question number 1. Right? Question number 2 is, how does the Ri answer that question? Meaning, the Ri says, I can't stand the Tarti side, this contradiction. Sometimes you pass like Rabbi Yehuda, another night you pass like Rabban. I can't live with such a contradiction. So what does he say? I answer Shema is according to the Tanaim. Okay, very nice, Rabbi Ri, but don't you still have a problem? Some nights you daven mincha after plag. Some nights you daven marv after plag. That's a contradiction. How do you answer this? The whole reason you drop Rabbeinu Tam was because it's Tati de Sasri. And what do you answer? So you answer Shema is for, we hold like the Tanaim. Good. But you still have the contradiction. You still have the same stira that we always had. You didn't accomplish anything. Okay, so far so good. Those are the main questions. But question number 3 is a fine question as well. What does Plaga Mincha have to do with Shema? Meaning, Plaga Mincha is the last time for bringing the carbon Tamid Shel Ben Abayim. And even if you'll argue that Rabbi Yehuda holds after Mariv, there's this thing, so after Plaga Mincha, you dam Mariv, okay, maybe, because that's when you burnt the rest of the carbonas, and that's what Mariv is connected. Okay, fine. But what in the world does it have to do b'shach b'chav kamecha? Meaning Shema is totally on a pasuk. The pasuk says b'shach b'cha when you lie down, uvikumecha when you get up. Now we could have a discussion. When is it that you lie down? When is it you get up? Is it till 3 hours? Is 6? Whatever. But that discussion has nothing to do with Rabbi Yehuda's shita about plaga mincha. Plaga mincha is not when you go to sleep. What is going on over here? That's question number 3. And for the fun of it, question number 4 really is. Well, let me first do the Shagas Aryeh, then we'll ask the question of Shagas Aryeh. Now, we focus on a Shagas Aryeh in Siman Gimel who brought us a very interesting point. The Shagas Aryeh points out that when Tosas says that Ovid Kamar Ovid, obviously Rabbeinu Tam must hold that Kriya Shema is Dirabanan. He cannot possibly hold that Kriya Shema is Doraisa. Why? Because if you tell me Ovid Kamar, that's a rule by a suffix Dirabanan Lakula. If you don't know how to paskin, if it's a Dirabanan, you could be Mekel. But if Rabbeinu Tam is saying that's the reason why you could read Shema early, obviously it has to be that Rabbeinu Tam holds that reading Shema is only Dirabanan. Good. That was the Shagas Aryeh. And we're going to see the Shagas Aryeh is relevant. We'll see. But we have 2 questions on Shagas Aryeh. Number 1, how did Tosas learn before? The same question we asked before. And number 2, whatever answer Tosas had for Tefillah would work for Shema. What's that question? No. Here's the question. Shagas Aryeh, correct. Rabbeinu Tam holds Shema Dirabanan. This question is, basically, is he right? Because everyone else doesn't learn this way. But this question, I'm not, all right. I don't know if I'm son of Paul. But 3 questions we got, and the 4th is not bad either. But okay, well, let's leave it. All right, are we together, gentlemen? Shlomo, you with me?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So now we're going to get to work. Kilush Yaakov. Kilush Yaakov opens our eyes because the Kilush Yaakov brings us to a whole new way of understanding life. Says the Kilush Yaakov, we have this interesting machlokes about when plag, the pasuk Yehuda, the pasuk Rabbanan, we see in the Rishonim two different ways of expressing the problem with Rabbeinu Tam. Meaning, we have the Rush and we have the Meiri. Meaning, both of them have different ways of dealing with what we call the Tarti de Sasha. Meaning, again, as Tosa said, sometimes we daven Mariv right after plag, and sometimes we daven Mincha after plag. And Tosa says it's Trey Kuli de Sasra Adadi. But the Rishonim use two very different examples to sort of qualify or define for us what that contradiction is. What is the Tarti Sasri? The Rush says it's like the case of Sidra, and the Meiri says it's like the case of Shnei Shvilim. Now, the Kilish Yaakov's job it is to explain to us what the Meiri meant by Shnei Shvilim, what the Rush meant by Shidra, and he says first he explains to us what the Machlokes is. I mean, the first step is understanding each system, understanding Shidra, and understanding Shnei Shvilim. Meaning, before we apply it conceptually to our case of Dan Mincha and Daming Mariv, what is the case themselves? What's the logic behind the cases themselves? So, explains the Kilish Yaakov. Let's deal with the Meiri's case of Shnei Shvilim. Okay, so basically like this. The rule is Safek Tum Rishus Harabim Seikotar, right? If you're in Rishus Harabim and you're Safek, if you touch something, or if you're Safek, if that thing is Tameh and you touched it, that's a Safek. A Safek Tumah in Rishus Harabim, the halach is Sveiko Tahar, Safek Tumah, Rishus Yachid, Sveiko Tameh. Why? Because God told me so. That's a chok, it's halach l'mashim Sinai, even though, and really it's a deraisa, and it should be, any Safek Tumah is a Safek deraisa, should be Safek Tumah lahachmir. The rule is, if it's in Rishus Harabim, it's Sveiko Tahar. If it's in Rishus Harabim, it's right, it's Tameh, but Rishus Harabim, it's Tahar. Okay. So basically this, the case is we have two roads, and there's a man buried under one of the roads. We don't know which road he's buried under, right? That's the case in Taras, in Mishnah Parakeh, and we don't know which road he's buried under. Says the Mishnah, Halach mehem halach b'achamim v'asataros. A man walked on one of them, and then he was involved in things that are Torah. And his friend came and went on the second road and also was involved in Taharas. Right? So on Tuesday, Reuven walked on road 1, and then on Wednesday, Shimon walked on road 2. So one thing was sure, one of these guys is Tameh. I don't know which one, but one of these roads is Tameh, and therefore one of these guys is Tameh. So what does the Mishnah tell us? The Mishnah says, Yehuda Omer, initial is Zev and Alto. Each one comes to Beis Din separately, Tahorim. Everything that they touched is Tar. Why? Because it's Safek Tumah, Rishus Harabim, Seiko Tar. Initial Kshanim Ke'echad, if they both come together to Beis Din and say, what do we do then? That's Tameim, because that's a total contradiction. We can't live with that kind of stira. Okay, but if they come separately, anything they touch remains Tar. Again, if they come together, all right, that's a different story. They come in together, and so then everything they touch is tummy. But okay, but that's the rule of Shnei Shvilim. And again, the logic of Shnei Shvilim is because it's a suffix. I mean, really, the Kilish Yaakov explains it to us, but that's the point. The point is that it is a suffix. All right, now let's look at the case of Shidra. Shidra has a special din. It has a din when it's a complete Shidra. It has certain dinim to it. And one of the dinim of Shidra is Legabi Tumas Oel. If you have a body under this Oel, everything under the Oel becomes Tameh along with it. In addition to that, if you have a Shidra, a complete Shidra that's under an Oel, that also makes everything under a Tameh. So if I have a complete Shidra over here, any Kalim, any person, anything under this canopy would be Tameh as well. Okay.
I mean, this case, we're talking about the oil. Are we talking about specifically in Rosh Hashanah Yachid? I was thinking about this because we're talking about the difference between Rosh Hashanah.
Doesn't matter. Does not matter. An oil
play the suffix situation because it's not why you could say like Lakula in that case versus the Chumrah.
No. Oil creates its own entity, and oil creates its own reshus in regards to Tumah. It doesn't matter where it is. It's an entity. Meaning,
no, but if you have a suffix about the tumah, would the suffix tumah be tahor if it was just all and just rabim?
In theory, I don't want to confuse the issue because we could confuse it, but it's a lot cleaner if we just learn it simply in Ohel, and it's nothing to do with Rishus Rabim or Rishus Yachid. It creates its own area, and therefore it doesn't have a din, meaning, but it's not a suffix case in and of itself. In other words, you know what I'm saying?
I'm just questioning is if there's the suffix about shidra, could it cause the same thing as a question of the suffix Torah that we have in the first case? Why it's not the same?
Would I be able to ask a question myself?
It's your shiur.
Okay. I mean it with all politeness. Who cares? No, who cares? What's mine? I mean, it's wonderful to
No,
live.
because then maybe they're not as different. They're not as different as.
Maybe, but I promise you, it will confuse us only. It will not add any clarity. We
So
can.
for all intents and purposes, there's no concept here of suffix Tyre Lakula
Exactly.
when it comes to shidra.
It's nothing to do with that issue, right? It has strictly to do with Tumas Oil, and it'll be a lot of rabbit holes we could go down. I promise you. Okay, anyway, but now, so here's the case. So if I have an etzem, if I have a bone under a OL, that alone doesn't create tumah. So a shidra, complete shidra, is metame, and etzem isn't. What about a shidra that's not complete? It's missing a bone. Now again, if it's a complete shidra, no question about it, it's metame tumas oil. If it's not a shidra, it's just an etzem, then it's not. What if the shidra is missing one bone? Is it metame tumas olim or not? Okay, so now here's the story. What makes it not a complete shidra? That is a machlokas between Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai. According to Beis Hillel, if it's missing one bone, one vertebrae of the spine, it's not a complete shidra, and obviously it's not metame tumas olim. According to Beis Shammai, no, if it's missing one, it's still a shidra. It has to be missing two. So basically, even though it's missing a vertebrae, it means a shidra according to Beis Shammai, right? According to Beis Hillel, not so. According to Beis Hillel, if it's missing even one vertebrae, it's not a shidra. So this is a machlokas between Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai. If you have a shidra that's missing one bone, according to Beis Hillel, that's it. It's not a shidra anymore. According to Beis Shammai, nah, chas v'shalom, missing one, it's a shidra. If it's missing two, okay, missing one, it's still a shidra. Now, what is this halacha? Here's the question: is this a kula or is it a chumrah? Well, it really depends. In regards to tumas oel, being a shidra is a chumrah, right? So therefore, what comes out is, according to Beis Shammai, if it's missing one vertebrae, it's a shidra, and if it's tamet tumas oelim. So in that case, Beis Shammai, when it comes to shidra, when it comes to the issue of tumas oil, is the machmir tzad. Because again, if Beis Shammai says if it's missing one vertebrae, it still is a din of shidra. Well, if it says a din of shidra in regards to the issue of oil, that's the chumrah tzad. And the opposite. Beis Hillel says once it's missing one vertebrae, it's no longer a shidra. So Beis Hillel comes out the kula tzad because it loses its din shidra. So in regards to tumas oil, it's not metamet. So that's a kula tzad. But there is another case where it comes out the exact opposite. When you're dunning on an animal, whether it's a treif or not. Now, if it's missing a spine, it's a treifa. The spine is not complete. It's a treifa. Now the question is, what makes it missing the spine? What makes the spine not complete? So it's the very same shaila as we had before. And basically, if it's only missing one vertebrae, so that's going to come out to the same machlokas Beis Shammai Hillel. According to Beis Shammai, one vertebrae, it's still a shidra. Stop it. It's a kosher animal. It's 100% kosher. According to Beis Hillel, no, chas v'shalom. It's missing one vertebrae. It's not a shidra. So now, according to that, it comes out the exact opposite. Beis Hillel, who says missing one vertebrae, says that loses its din shidra. They come out, right? Beis Hillel comes out, it's not a shidra, it's a treifa. And Beis Hillel, who when it comes to Hilchos Tumah and Tara, was a mekel sad. When it comes to treifa, missing one vertebrae is not a shidra, that comes out the chumrah sad. And Beis Shammai say, no, missing one vertebrae, it's still a shidra. They come out a kula. It's not a treifa. Why? Because if it's missing one vertebrae, it still has a din of shidra. Still has a din of shidra. It's not a treifa. So it comes out the opposite depending on which case you're looking at. Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel are going to come out a chumrah or a kula. And this is what the Gemara says. If you paskin in one case as Beis Shammai, you make it, and the other case you make it like Beis Hillel, you're Russia. Why? Because you're burning the candle at both ends. Okay, so far so good. Now, the Stipler explains to us the reason for this case. Even though Shnei Shvilim, we had no problem having both guys being tar, right? Ruvain's tar, Shimon's tar, no problem. And why is that? That's because the rule is Savik Tuma, Birshus Arabim, Seiko tar. So we never said we know for sure anything. We said we don't know. But when we don't know, the rule is Savik Tuma, Birshus Arabim is tar. But here says the Stipler, this is a Safek Daraisa. Safek Daraisa always goes L'chumra. So how do you understand? Now here's really the punchline. How do you understand how the Gemara can tell us this line? If you want, or better, before I get there, really, says the Kilish Yaakov, that if you are a Talmud of Beis Hillel or Beis Shammai before the Baskol, you could hold like your Rebbe, because why? Because the pasuk says, "Uvasa lakohen asher yeh b'yom mehem." You're allowed to hold like your Rebbe, and the Chazon Ish says that applies even to Rabbi Muvak. And basically, if your Rebbe says that this meat is kosher, even if Rove people argue, you're allowed to paskin like your Rebbe. Even if Rove or against him, it doesn't matter. You're allowed to hold like him, right? Now that halacha is a special din of basa ala kohen asher yabim mahim. You're allowed to paskin like your Rebbe, the shofet there in those days. Even though it's a deraisa, you're allowed to paskin. But of course, you can't burn the candle from both ends. Okay, now, so far, what does this have to do with our tosus, with our issue? Now the Kilish Yaakov explains. The Gemara says to us like this: we don't know if we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda or the paskin like the Rabbanan. We don't know. We can't verify it. Therefore, the Ovid Kemar Ovid, the Ovid Kemar Ovid. Do what you want. Now, says the Kilish Yaakov, what does this mean? When the Gemara says, do what you want, what does it mean, do what you want? Does that mean, like the Rosh says, like Shidra, or like the Meiri, like Shnei Shvilim? Meaning, conceptually, let's take the Meiri first. Conceptually, what the Meiri says is, it's a contradiction, right? But it's a contradiction that we can live with. Why? Because it's like Shnei Shvilim. Since really, what are we dealing with? We're dealing with davening. Tefillah is a derabanan, right? Safek derabanan lakula. So it happens to be one night we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda. Next night we paskin like derabanan. Both can't be true. They paskin like this one, whatever. It's tefillah. Tefillah is derabanan, and we'll make it just like Shnei Shvilin, where we said it's Safek Tumah. So even though we don't know both atar, so to this case is conceptually the same. Why? Because it's a derabanan, and the rule by Rabbanan is Safek derabanan lakula. So you make it. One night you passing like Yehuda, one night Rabbanan. Okay, so what? Both times we're consistent because both cases are a suffix. The rule by a suffix is Safek derabanan lakula, and there's no inconsistency. And therefore the Meiri says, as long as you don't do it the same night, you can pass in one night like Yehuda, one night the Rabbanan. It's fine. It's Shnei Shvilim. Nothing wrong with it. Okay, that's how, in fact, how the Meiri says it. Safek derabanan. Let's say Safek itirachamim right with gav nevas achar also. Okay, good. That's the Meiri. Now. And again, that's explains according to Meiri why you gedam mincha and marav the same night. It's not a tartir sasri. On the other hand, the Rosh
would be like the case of the Reuven and Shimon coming together.
Yes, exactly. Basacha would be like the two people coming based in at the same time. That's too much of a steer. That we can't live with. Okay, but so that's the Meiri, and that's how conceptually the Meiri understands what it means. Sometimes one night we're passing at Rabbanan, one night we're passing at Yehuda. It's all good, not a contradiction because it's a Safek derabanan, so whatever, a Safek, that's how we leave it. However, the Rosh learns the Gemara very differently. Says the Rosh, didn't you read this Gemara? And David Kamar Ovid. You better choose, but choose and stick with it. And says the Rosh, it's a het b'Torah Sachra. What the Gemara was saying to you was, you have a right to say, I paskin this way, like the Rabbanan, and when you paskin that way, or I paskin like Rabbi Yehuda, and you paskin that way. But that means you better be consistent because it's achra, it's a psak, as if your Rebbe paskind it, and then you could eat it, even though other people argue. But that's how conceptually we deal with it. Meaning, says the Rosh, conceptually we deal with it as if it's a psak, not a suffix, but a psak, right? Meaning the difference is that we treat it as if it's a suffix, even though you're right, it's the Rabbanan, but it's not hefker. We don't say do what you want. We treat it as if you have a right, just like by a suffix deraisa, you have a right to choose. So to over here, you have a right to follow your psak, either Rabbi Yehuda or the Rabbanan. Why? Because that's the permission the Rabbanan gave you. But don't dare do one night like one and the other night like another, because that is terrible. That would be a stira. That would be a contradiction, and we can't live with it. Okay, now, what did the Kilish Yaakov accomplish? What he's explained to us very clearly is how to learn this Gemara. And the Gemara says, the Ovid Kamar Ovid, he explains to us, is it mitorah's psak or mitorah's suffik? Meaning, according to the Rush, it's a psak. You can paskin like Rabbi Yehuda, but it means you say Rabbi Yehuda is right and they're abundant wrong, but that means you better be consistent with it and don't change the next night because that'll be a stira. And says Miri, what are you hacking? That's not what the Gemara said. I mean, since it's tefillah is a savi d'Rabbanan. Do what you want. Don't contradict the same night. Monday night you paskin Rabbi Yehuda, and Tuesday night you paskin like the Rabbanan. So what's the contradiction? You don't know. Both are a suffix. It's not like you paskin. So since both are a suffix, everything's good, right? So that's the Miri, mi suffix, and the Rosh says mi vadai. Okay, gentlemen, right? Everything good so far?
Yeah, can we get a little more heads for how the Rush understands psak when it's in fact a Rabbanan?
Yeah, because it's not a hefgevelt. The Rabbanan didn't say do whatever you want. We throw up our hands. They said because we can't be machriya. I don't know. Maybe Rabbi Yehuda's right. Maybe the Rabbanan's right. So we don't know. So you have a right to say Kimli. I hold like Rabbi Yehuda or I hold like the Rabbanan, but don't go playing games over here. I mean, don't do something that neither of those rabbis would do. If you hold like Rabbi Yehuda would never tell you could daven mincha after plag. And if you hold like the Rabbanan would never tell you could daven mariv. You could daven mariv before tzeis. So you're going to do something that neither of them would agree to. You're making hefgevelt out of it.
So elamai shnei shvilin.
That's because a special din in the Torah. The Torah says suffik tum b'shuzarabim is Torah. The Torah taught you a din, and therefore the Torah taught you what to do. And shnei shvilin you're allowed. But the Rabbanan never said you have a right to make a hefgevelt. You know, listen to what you're doing over here. Rabbi Yehuda says it's plag is the last time dam mincha. So you're saying I hold like him and I hold like him. That you can't do. That's absurd. We gave you a right to choose which one you want because we don't know. But either Rabbi Yehuda is right or the Rabbanan right. But no shita says both. So
really, what it comes down to is there's a machlokas between the Meiri and the Rush in Shnei Shvilin. The Meiri learns Shnei Shvilin.
No. I disagree with that. Totally, completely. Not in Shnei Shvilin. Only in this case.
When we learn out for Shnei Shvilin, what I'm saying is.
Yeah, but this is a conceptual application. Those are mashalim. That's a mashal. Those are mashalim to this case. How you view Avi Kamar Avi? Do you view it as Shnei Shvilin or do you view it as Shidra? But this is, everyone agrees to this case, and everyone agrees to that case. Everyone agrees that this is D'Rabbanan. Everybody agrees that's a
This is when Avi Kamar, not in the Shnei Shvilin?
Correct, exactly.
Because Shnei Shvilin conceptually is different because it's a question of Metzias as opposed to Shitas.
There's no machlokas Rishonim in that case. The machlokas Rishonim is...
I'm saying it's a question in Metzias, not Shitas, by Shnei Shvilin. So the Rush would tell you, I understood it, that the Rush would tell you that the Shnei Shvilin applies because it's a question of Metzias. But here's not a question of Metzias, it's a question of Shitas. And therefore it's like the case of Shidra, because it's a Shitas question. And the Meiri will say back, no, it's a question of Darais D'Rabbanan. There, because Suffolk Tuma Lakula, that means it's similar to D'Rabbanan, that Suffolk D'Rabbanan Lakula. Therefore, it's like Shnei Shvilin.
You could say it that way. I don't hear it as clearly that way. But if you understand it that way, fine. The way I hear it very clearly as follows: the Gemara said, "The Ovid Kamar Ovid, the Ovid Kamar Ovid." What did they mean by those words? Were they giving you blanket permission, or they're giving you limited permission? According to Miri, what that means is like this: Avi Kamar means we don't know, so we throw up our hands and do what you want. You could hold like this way, you could hold like that. Either one may be right. So we don't know.
Not definitively posking like anyone when I follow one opinion.
Right. You could do, and we don't know. Since we don't know, you don't know. No one knows. So listen.
So therefore, it's like a quite same thing where there's a difference of Metzias, similar to case of Metzias where.
Shnei Shvilin says the Rosh Chatz Shalom. That would be that's not what the Gemara meant. That's what it said. It said the Ovid Kamar Ovid. You have a right to hold. I hold like Rabbi Yehuda, or I hold like Rabbanan, but don't go hold something that nobody holds. If you make up your own new shita, maybe make up a whole new Torah. You do both together. Nobody says that. And what you're doing, if Monday night you do one and Tuesday night you do the other, everybody, Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbanan both would say you're wrong. That we never gave permission to do. The Gemara gave you a right to say Kimle. I hold this way. Okay, you could hold that way, but hold it consistently. So it's a conceptual application. When the Gemara said the Ovid Kamar Ovid, did they mean like Shnei Shvilin? I mean a suffix, or did they mean a psak? Okay, now are we ready, gentlemen? Now it's time tying it all together. See that nice knot? And it's going to be beautiful. Okay, and to tie it all together, here we go.
What was the Kilos Yaakov doing with all that lumdus? What was he trying to fix or answer?
You're going to read the Kilush Yaakov, and you're going to see the Kilush Yaakov is a fine Gaon, and he has an agenda. But I'm not interested. I mean, did I say politely? Yeah, I'm not interested. I mean, he was trying to explain the differences, what the halacha comes out, and why it is the Rosh would learn one way, the Miri would learn another way. Meaning, Miri basically said there's no problem doing this Monday night and Tuesday night business. You know, Monday night you daven Mincha after plug, Tuesday night you daven Marav after plug, and the Rosh says Chas Shalom, it's usher. So the first thing to understand is why. How do they view it? Why did they each say such a different conclusion when all Tosa said with the words Tati to Sasri? Suddenly Miri says that's not a problem, and the Rosh says it is. So the first thing Akil Yaakov is doing is explaining to us, you know, what that means, why it is they come out that way. And again, he has a further agenda, and you could look in the rest of the piece. It's very nice to know, but for our purposes, all we need is this knowledge, and now we're ready to tie it all together.
According to this, is the Rabbeinu Tam agreeing with the Rosh because he considers it's a question on himself?
No, we got to tie it all together. I'm going to find out. Okay, here we go. Ready? Take a deep breath. Let's revisit Rabbeinu Tam. Now again,
is everyone to retain answers, or is that should
oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Go for it. Let's see. I give you a whole Shabbos. Let me hear.
So my whole basis for this might be wrong, but I think the Machlokas, Rabbi Huda and the Rabbanan, when they're talking about when the carbon Tomid Shel Ben Arbaim can be brought or not, they're inherently arguing about when the day ends. I mean, the carbon Tomid can be brought until the afternoon ends and the afternoon is over. So by definition, then Rabbeinu Tam would say at Plaga Mincha, when it's no longer, you can no longer bring that carbon anymore. It's us to bring the carbon. By definition, it's Lila. So at that point, it's mamash nighttime. So when Rabbeinu Tam says that we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda, he's saying that we paskin like him in a deraisa case of when, you know, situation when you can bring the carbon tamid, which means by that definition it's Lila. And then once you're taking that position, you have to also say, you can say Kriya Shema, which is also a deraisa question. Just like you usually have to say it by carbon tamid, you have to say the same thing there. So then, so then the next step is, what about the fact that we daven mincha sometimes later than plag? So we say, oh, we're talking about between mincha and marav. That's a derabanan question, much more like shnei shvilin, rather than saying you have to take a position for a deraisa, and that'd be more like a shidra b'godalas. So there, it's going to be a derabanan question, and you can there you could pick. Then we really passing like the rabbanan. So if you want to still daven mincha at that time, that's not a problem. That's a derabanan question. You can do that. But then, then you've got the question of the fact of Tarti Desasri, because now you've got if you're davening mincha after that's man, you're going up against Daraisa, the fact that you paskin like Rabbi Yehuda. Meaning, before we said we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda Daraisa, I wouldn't have this problem because it's two Darabbanans going back and forth only, not a Daraisa. But once we say paskin Daraisa that way, you've got this Darabbanan hawk back and forth, but it's going up against actually paskining the Daraisa like Rabbi Yehuda.
Jay, can I comment?
Sure.
Excellent. You stole my thunder.
You still need the re, and yeah.
Yeah,
and the re, but meaning that once you don't say Daraisa, you paskin like Rabbi Yehuda, that you paskin like other Gonim, then it's not a problem anymore. It's just Darabbanan.
Excellent. I'm going to retire and give Jake the floor. But you don't have as nice slides as I do. That's the only difference. All right, Jake.
Can you sing the song? Everything is beautiful.
Yeah, maybe he can't sing that song either. Okay, I think Jake is saying kafta b'ferach. Let me put it together exactly what Jake is saying, but let me say it anyway. But let's revisit Rabbeinu Tam and let's hear what, in fact, Jake is explaining to us. So here we go. Okay, Lekach Rabbeinu Tam. Right? First step, Rabbeinu Tam tells us, of course, Marav is the main time of saying Shema. How do we daven earlier? So he answers, the teretz is, we have the Rabbanan and Rabbi Yehuda, we paskin like the Rabbi Yehuda. Okay? Now, then Rabbeinu Tam makes two steps. Now, this is the critical point. Meaning, all we know from Rabbi Yehuda is, Rabbi Yehuda told us that Plaga Mincha ends over here. And there are two things that Rabbi Yehuda didn't tell us. Step number one is he didn't tell us that Marav step starts there, but Tosas makes that assumption. Okay, meaning it says Tosas the name of Yehuda. Since Mincha is up until Plag, therefore you have a right to daven Marav over here. That's step number one. But then Tosas takes a step number two. Since Mincha ends at Plag, it's therefore night, and you can read Shema. I mean, not only is this a time for Marav, but you can even say Shema. Now here is the critical point. The critical point. What right does Rabbeinu Tam have to take that step? What right does he have to say, I hold in Rabbi Yehuda, Yemamish, it's night, and you can say Shema? Who told you that? What right do you have to say that? Right? Okay. So when the Gemara said, David Kamar Ovid, David Kamar Ovid, it was speaking about Tefillah, which is the Rabbanan, right? And we know Savik Rabban Lakula. What right does Rabbeinu Tam have to extend it to Shema, which is a Deraisa? Didn't the Shagazari teach us that when it's a Savik Deraisa, you go L'chumra? So what right does Rabbeinu Tam have to extend it to Shema when Shema is a Deraisa? Do you guys hear that question? That is the Shagas Aryeh's question. Tosas must mean the Rabbanan, because you can never read the Avi Kamar of it, and assume that's on the Rabbanan. It has to be, it can't be a Mina Deraisa, it has to be the Rabbanan, because that only works by a suffix. Oh yeah, is that true? Well, let's look what the Re says. The Rabbeinu Tam says. Rabbeinu Tam answers, the Kaimalon Kireb Yehuda. And what does it mean, the Kaimalon Kireb Yehuda? What does Tosas mean like that? Does it mean Shidra, a Psak, or suffix? Well, I'll let you know the secret, exactly what Jake was saying. Since Shema is a Deraisa, he's got to mean Shidra. Meaning, when the Gemara says this expression, and the Gemara says, Avi Kamar Ovid, Tosas says, the Kaimalon Ki Rabbi Yehuda. You know what that means? We paskin. The Gemara gave you a right to paskin like Rabbi Yehuda, but paskin means we mamish paskin psak, not suffix, but psak. Why? Because that's the only way you could possibly go and tell me this affects a Deraisa. Because, listen, maybe Rabbi Yehuda's right, maybe the Rabbanan right? So I'm going to tell you Rabbi Yehuda, and we hold that way. Who in the world gives you a right to do that? The answer is, I read the Gemara as saying psak. Psak means that we paskin that way. Now, since Shema is Deraisa, and it's something Deraisa Chumrah, but when you say psak, it works even with Torah Sachra. So obviously Tosas learns it's midin psak, and that's why it affects Shema. Good? Now, good. So far, so good. Now, what did Tosas, but now, one second. Now Tosas says we got a big problem. Meaning, very nice, we pass like Yehuda as a psak, and that explains to me Shema. Very nice, I got that part. But now, how do you explain the fact that we daven mincha over here, and it must be we pass like the Rabbanan? But wait a minute, how could you tell me pass like the Rabbanan? That's a major Tarti Sasri. If you tell me the psak we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda, that means we say definitively, absolutely, we hold like Rabbi Yehuda. Then how in the world could you daven mincha? Could you hold like the Rabbanan? That's a Tarti Sasri. I can't live with, right? Meaning, what here's the ribbon. Let's look at question number one. What did Rabbeinu Tam hold before I saw this Mishnah when he had a Tarti Sasri about daven mincha and Marav? Before that, like the Miri, meaning what? When the Gemara said Avi Kamar Avid, what it's saying was, listen, you have a suffix Rabbanan, right? A suffix about davening. Do you hold like Rabbi Yehuda? Do you hold like Rabbanan? I don't know. So whatever you want, do just like the Miri, meaning Shnei Shvilim, and that's why I can live with a Tarti Sasri, because both of the Rabbanan, Yidam Mincha, Yidam Marv, doesn't bother me. But then Tosas has a major problem. That'll never explain Shema. Shema's a Deraisa. Now maybe Rabbi Yehuda's right, maybe the Rabbanan right. What right do you have to daven? Even if you tell me factually that Rabbi Yehuda holds that Marav starts then, and maybe even Rabbi Yehuda holds night starts then, but maybe we're passing it to Rabbanan. What right do you have to say that you have a right to say Shema then? The answer is it must mean the Kaimalon, right? How do we read it early? It's a suffix deraisa, and the answer is the Kaimalon. We paskin, but this is the expression over here. Not you have a right to hold, not like you do like, but we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda. Says Tosas the words. If you ask me in my Shulchan Aruch, I write the words, Rabbi Yehuda is correct and the Rabbanan are wrong. And that's why on a deraisa it works, because I paskin, I hold a chra, psak, and mamish like Rabbi Yehuda. And that's why you can, the day ends over here, and you can say Shema over there, etc. So once I say that, that's psak. Then I have a Tarti Sasri I can't live with, because that's mamish psak. Before, right, yeah, except Am I jumping steps over here? Anybody know what I'm talking about? I know what I'm talking about. You guys follow this?
Rabbi seems to be saying that once we switch to the Deraisa realm, I think it's along the things Jake was saying, then we can no longer say like the Meiri, we'd have to now say like the Rush. Now that we're saying like the Rush, we can't do it, we can't have a Tarzas Hasr.
Exactly. Before, when you were dealing with two Derabanans, Davening Mincha Damarav, so whatever, you could leave it like the Meiri. It's misuffic. Which one is right? I don't know which one is right. So one night you do Rabbi Yehuda, one night Derabanan. Okay, fine. But if you tell me it's affecting a deraisa, you have to paskin like Rabbi Yehuda bipsak. The only way you can tell me that you're yotze mid deraisa shema is if you say we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda bevadayas. Absolutely, I know so that requires a psak like a shidra kind of psak. It has to be not a suffix psak, but a real psak. If that's true, then you can also hold like the Rabbanan, because that's a stira, like the Rush says, you can't live with. Up until we dealt with Shema, we held like the Meiri, it was an open suffix, and we don't know. So you can live with a stira, not a big deal. But the minute you tell me it's affecting Shema, that's a deraisa, now you have to go on to real psak. Psak, you can't live with a tati sasri, just like the Rush told you. So all we're doing is using the Kilush Yaakov's lumdis and explaining Tosas' movement that way. Now, and that's Rabbeinu Tam. What happens with the Ri? Okay, anyone follow? Now, next step of the Ri, someone tell me the Ri now.
The Ri is just saying that meaning he's doing it like the Meiri, and he's allowed to because he's only hacking in the Rabbanim.
Exactly. What the Ri does is says, you're right, I'm not touching Shema. Shema is because we hold like the Tanaim. All I'm left with is the Rabbanans, Min Kamarav, so whatever, it's like the Meiri. And one night you hold like this one night you hold like that one. It's a contradiction. It's me suffix. We don't really know. It's Nei Shvilim, and you one night this way, one night that way. It's fine.
So the Ri is. Why does the Ri have to say we hold like one of the shitas that says you daven early?
No, that is the Metzias. The Metzias was that way in Tosas' day. Sometimes they daven early, sometimes they daven late. So Rabbeinu Tam said nobody had a problem with that. Why? Because that was two D'Rabbanans, and that was Shnei Shvilin like the Meiri. The problem is that Rabbeinu Tam wanted to use
Rabbeinu Tam. Even if you say Rabbeinu Tam says whatever it is, then what's the problem? Who cares?
Rabbeinu Tam was the one who used Rabbi Yehuda for Shema for Deraisa, so he had to say mi psak vaday, that becomes shidra. The Ri says no, you don't got to do that. For Shema, all you do is use the other Tanaim and remain with a suffix D'Rabbanan about Mincha Marav. That's Rabbi Yehuda D'Rabbanan. It's like the Meiri Shnei Shvilin. Everything's fine. Exactly what.
When are you davening Mincha Marav?
Well, one night you daven Mincha, one night you daven Marav after Plag. Next night you daven Marav after Plag. Okay.
In either of those scenarios, it's before any of the times it says.
Before it says, yeah, correct.
So I'm davening Marav before it says? Before Shema? Before Zman Shema? Am I davening Marav before Zman Shema?
Yes.
So then the Ri is being mechadish that we're repeating Kriya Shema later?
No. The Ri hold Yotzei Shema because we hold like the other Tanoim that Shema.
But all of those shitas are after, let's say, after Shkia, for argument's sake.
Let's say fine, but before it says, way before it says.
Okay, before it says. So if you're davening Mincha before Plag, so then when you're davening Marav, it's definitely before any of those shitas' version of Shema.
No, it's not. It's whatever shita that is. By the way, when the Ani is earlier and the Kabbalah Shabbos is earlier. The point is those shitas hold before it says you could be Yotzei Shema. The Ri says we hold like those
but
shitas.
It's not Plag. It's not Plag. Maybe if we're dealing with maybe if he's within the Magen Avram's version of Plag, it could be. But maybe if he's within the Magen Avram's version of Plag, which is close to Shkia. I'm saying with our understanding of a grub Plag, that's way before any Zman Shema.
That's not correct. You're saying something that you're arguing with the Gemara, right? The Gemara says when the Ani sits down to eat his pas, or all of the times are well before it says. They're after Plag, well before it says.
But after Shkia, after our Shkia.
Who said that? You're inventing that. But again, let me be Pesach, to be honest with you, there's nothing to do with me. You want to ask a kasha on the Ri misread, read the Gemara's wrong. Okay, I don't know. But the one thing I'm trying to explain to you is that the Ri frees himself up from the problem of Shema.
The Ri frees himself up from the problem because he doesn't pass like Rabbeinu Yehuda for Deraisa.
Exactly, and therefore he remains with a Tati the Satsri on the Rabbanan level, which is Shnei Shvil, and everything's fine. Now, how does the
But
re?
Rabbeinu Tam can't do a tar to the sasri for Rabbanans and say we pass like the review for Daraisa.
Because the only way to pass the rice, you have to say vadai psak. If you say psak, that you can't say I also.
Now all of a sudden we have a tar to the sasri.
Right, then you have a tatus so you can't budge on. Right.
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 Just
Rebbe,
before you move, before we
Yaakov,
move forward,
Because
how
this
does-
was Yaakov's answer, so yeah, go for it.
the one thing I don't understand is
Better not slug yourself up though.
I'm just not clear on what's the difference if we say that there's a Tana called Rabbi Yehuda who happens to argue with the Rabbanan, and he about what he holds is Man Kriya Shema, like Rabbeinu Tam says, versus the Ri who says we don't there's no Kriya Shema in that machlokas, and yet we have a different machlokas which we hold like a different Tana that may or may not intrude upon our machlokas. I mean, what's the difference inherently? Meaning,
Here's a key distinction. Is the machlokas between sometimes when I rely on Rabbi Yehuda and sometimes I rely on Rabbanan, is that on a rabbinic level or on a Torah level? What Rabbeinu Tam did was very, very sneaky. Excuse me saying it. He took what we always understood that on a rabbinic level. We always understood it was dealing with Mincha Marav, which is the Rabbanan. Right? So Avi Kamar, Avi Kamar. What Rabbeinu Tam said, he upped the ante dramatically. He said, no, not just on a Rabbanan level, on a Deraisa level, meaning I hold like Rabbi Yehuda, even like Rabbi Shema. Rabbeinu Tam, with all due respect, maybe the Rabbanan are right. And maybe the first time to say Shema is says, how dare you say Shema early? Maybe the Lach is like Rabbi Yehuda, like the Rabbanan. How dare you say Shema early? The answer is, I paskin like Rabbi Yehuda Vadai as a psak. When I read the Gemara, it says Avi Kamar. It means the Gemara gave you permission. You could say I paskin Vadai like Rabbi Yehuda, even on Deraisa. But that has to be a psak. That has to be not just misafik. That's got to be Vadai. Then I have a tarti to sasri, because if I tell you I hold like Rabbi Yehuda Vadai, then how the next night do Adam Mincha after plug? That's the Rabbanan. What that's a tarti sasri. But if what the Re says is no, I say if you want to know Shema, how you Yotze Shema before it says the answer I hold like other Tanoim. That get the Shema out of the picture. And the only issue when the Gemara says Avi Kamar, it was about Mincha Mar, which is the Rabbanan, and therefore it's not a Tati to Sasri. Why? Because it's on a rabbinic level, and we say it's misafik. You could do this way, you could do that way. We're not saying Vadai. I don't really know. Maybe Rabbi Yehuda's right, maybe the Rabbanan right, but it's okay because since it's a suffix both times, one day you hold this way, one day you hold that way. It's not a contradiction because it's suffix the Rabbanan. What Rabbeinu Tam did was he took that move, he moved it up to a deraisa level. The only way you can move that to a deraisa level is saying that the psak is vadai, ovid kamar ovid, meaning to say I paskin like Rabbi Yehuda. But to do that, it means you have to paskin bivadoyas, absolutely. To do that, you end up with a contradiction that you can't live with. Whoever that is, who's making the noise?
Rebbe, can I just ask a very fundamental situation?
Yes.
My understanding of Rabbeinu Tam is 72 minutes. So if that's the case, how can Rabbeinu Tam say Yadavan Kriya Shema by Plaga Mincha when in fact he holds that the day is not over until 72 minutes?
Okay, that is a fine question. A fine question. And I'll tell you what we're going to do, Bli Neder. In Martin's honor, I would like to do the Bir Halacha, who explains to us machlokas between Rabbeinu Tam and the Groa when Shabbos ends. That's 72-minute issue. Very, very, very important Bir Halacha, who explains perfectly what's going on there. And so Martin, you just booked Tuesday night Shiur. I'm going to send out the Martin comments. I want to do that inside because it's very important to know where 72 minutes come in, where the Gra comes in Shkia, how does the Jewish calendar work in terms. So let's circle that as a question, and Bli Neder will get to that Tuesday night. All right, gentlemen, do we hear what's going on here?
Rebbe, in this Shita, I had a problem with
Rabbeinu Tam,
in Rabbeinu Tam, the way your Rebbe is touching up the Rabbeinu Tam that it's mamish psak. It could be I read it wrong, but there's the source for the heter halacha l'maisa that we use to be able to daven mincha achar plag and mar mibod yom. The Beis Yosef says is this Rabbeinu Tam. This is the source that in the same day I can daven mincha achar plag and daven mar mibod yom. if you're actually paskening that this is a real psak that Rabbi Yehuda is nighttime, right? And I'm assuming
Beis Yosef, one second.
so Beis Yosef on the tour, he quotes this.
One
Beis
second.
Yosef on this halacha.
Alan, are you the one who sent me that WhatsApp about with the?
Yeah.
With the,
Yeah.
I didn't know who it was who sent it to me.
Okay, just 1 second. 1 second. I have to look, but okay, let's say conceptually, let's say that's true, yeah.
So that means that the source for the actual highest level of Tarki Desasri Heter is this Rabbeinu Tam. How could it be that he's so strongly paskening that Rabbi Yehuda, meaning Rebbe doesn't seem to want to say this. I don't know, I said a while ago. It seems to be that Rabbi Yehuda is not Doresh Shachwaf Kumecha, right? He doesn't seem to say that's the starting point when you have to say Marv. It's a different, it's long as it's Erev, it's Marv. What?
Wait, Shachwaf Kumecha for Shema.
For Shema, right?
Yeah.
That's Tosfos says it beferish, right? So
that's. But do you mean if
what?
Tosfos holds Derabanan or Tosfos holds Doraisa?
No, you don't. I'm not going on to the Shagasari. Meaning, let's just say he holds that it's Doraisa Shema, but it's not
Right.
midin b'shachwaf kumecha. It just needs to be Marv. So if you really paskin Kaimul and Rabbi Yehuda,
So there are three assumptions here that I don't know of. I only know a makar of Shachbachov Kamecha for Doraisa Shema. It's only about Seis or the time of it. I don't know any Doraisa makar other than that. If you can find me a drasha other than that, show it to me.
no, okay, fine. So so you're saying that if there's no b'shachwaf kumecha, it's derabanan.
I don't know of any other sources. There's
So,
no other.
but we see Tosfos says beferish Rabbi Yehuda doesn't hold
Which
b'shachwaf kumecha.
Tosfos? Which Tosfos?
Tosfos, it's like 3 Tosfos in after the one we read. It's
So one second. There are a number of Bali Tosas. There are 2 Tosas in Shas who say clearly that Shema is Durabanan. Rabbeinu Tam doesn't hold that way. That's the whole point, that Rabbeinu Tam doesn't learn that way, and that's also, otherwise you're right, the Shagzari is right. But everybody learns otherwise. Everybody learns that simply Rabbeinu Tam would have said that. Rabbeinu Tam would have had a, first of all, you'll never answer this question.
Stam Tosfos is not Rabbeinu Tam?
No, absolutely. I mean, Rabbeinu Tam was boss.
I thought he was the king of Tosfos. And when they say
Rabbeinu
Tosfos,
Tam is boss, but that's not a rule. That's not a rule. You'll oftentimes have. I want to ask you a question. Why does everybody say Rabbeinu Tam holds it Doraisa? There are 2 other Tosim where Tosim says Durabanan. And Rabbeinu Tam, it wasn't at all obvious. And as a matter of fact, he wouldn't have had his kasha. He shouldn't have began a kasha. He doesn't have a kasha. Whatever. Anyway, let's assume Rabbeinu
so it
Tam
happens. I didn't make that up. People stand, I think, say for Rabbeinu Tam that he doesn't Dorish B'shachwaf kumecha. But let's just say he does.
So,
let's say Yehuda does. So
right.
so let's say he is Dorish B'shachwaf kumecha. Let's say you paskin really that this is considered night and the way it's all said. So how could this be the source of the ultimate level of Tarki Desasri? If you're mamish Kaimel like Rabbi Yehuda, he should be the last person to be able to say the heter that you can daven married.
I have to see this Beis Yosef. First of all, remember the Beis Yosef paskins that you're not allowed to do this stuff about Monday night one way and Tuesday night the other way.
But he says this is the heter that you could if you do.
No. But wait 1 second. The Beis Yosef paskins all in Shulchan Aruch. He paskins all. Don't do this. Now, bidi evid, if you get stuck, okay, I don't know. We have to see we have to see this Beis Yosef. I'd like to see the Beis Yosef quoting this Rabbeinu Tam as, but again, I know what the Beis Yosef holds, and that is you're not allowed to do this. He basically holds like Rabbeinu Tam, you're not allowed to switch. Bidi evid, if you get stuck, okay, but you're not allowed to switch. Choose your man and stick to him. So I'd imagine that's what he's referring to when he says Rabbeinu Tam.
Also, he has to finish. Rabbeinu Tam has to come out with an answer. So he's going to say, whatever, we're going to do it anyway. So maybe that's what the Beis Yosef is going to get from this.
I mean, and by the way, Rabbeinu Tam lives with the stira, right? He's able to live with the stira, this contradiction.
Well, he seems to ask it on himself.
No, but he lives with it. Rabbeinu Tam
but he doesn't.
But he doesn't change his shita because of it. Rabbeinu Tam, if you ask Rabbeinu Tam at the end of the day, is it Tatir Sasa? Yes. And is that when did Marv? Early. I thought this. I say, okay, what am I going to tell you? Rabbeinu Tam lives with it. That's how he finishes. The Risa, I don't accept it. I got to drop your shot because I can't live with it. But the Rabbeinu Tam lives with the Tasisatsu. It sounds just like the Mechaber says. Mechaber says you're not allowed to do this. Monday and Tuesday, you got to pick your man. Either Behuda the Rabbanan. All right, listen.
But that's because all the Rishonim seem to say you can't do it. Meaning he doesn't need it. He's not quoting just the Rabbeinu Tam, right? Even the Meiri, who seems to be more Mako, says you can't do it. And the Rush for sure you can't do it. And Talmud Rabbeinu Yonah you can't do it.
On the tour, I assume you
I
mean
sent it to Rabbi already.
I apologize. I didn't look.
No,
But
just now.
I have to. Oh, I'm. Okay, I will look, Blinetta. But let's. Okay. Other than this, what's Shver?
So first of all, I mean, I don't think you really got through Yaakov's point because
Okay.
so there's a bunch of other Tanoim, even though he didn't say David Kamar Avid, David Kamar Avid on those Tanoim, but you still are doing Tarti Desasri with them, Legabe Marv and Shema, meaning Mincha and Shema. You're davening Mincha after the one person's sheet of the Rabbanan, and then you're still davening Marv then. You didn't have to paskin that way. I mean, there's no words David Kamar Avid, David Kamar Avid on those sheetas, but still you have that problem.
What again? One more time. What did you give me an
There's
example?
many sheetas of what the Rabbanan hold, right? One sheet that you can get away with and say Marv then. But Lamaisa, you're violating the other three sheetas when you daven Mincha later. So you're not really even holding like that one sheet that you are.
Those sheetas are arguing about Shema. Do they say any opinion about Mincha Marav?
Not necessarily. Also, that's the other lesson I want to say.
Definitely not. That's not what they're talking about. They're not entering into discussion. Mincha Marav. I don't care. I don't know when. I know Shema. I hold Shema on the Yitzapito. I hold Shema by the Kohen goes the Tovel, the Tefillah. Those sheetas are arguing about when you read Shema. They have nothing to do whatsoever, klal with Mincha Marav.
Okay, there's another lesson also in Tosas in the Re. He seems to add a point to say that it does affect the Zman Tefillah. So, like at the end, he says, "Umeosa shahav Zman Tefillah." So that's like throwing the whole thing. First of all, why does he need it? It seems to be bad. And second of all, you're
not the Re.
In the Re. He adds that line right before the Gam Raya.
One second, we get the Re. Let me see the problem. 1 second. Do I have a Re here? I don't know if I have a Re here. Is a Re Tom. I don't know if I have a Re here. I got too many slides. I think I dropped it all the way in the beginning. Oh, Shlomo, you're making me go all the way to the beginning. You know how many slides ago that was? Expect me to remember that? 1 second. See if I can find it. Hey. Find the Lashon of the Re. 1 second. The Re, and I don't know if no, 1 second. I don't have the Re here. 1 second, do I?
Maybe you could go to the cheat sheet.
Yeah, 1 second. I got to jump out of here and go to my cheat sheet. Do you want me to do that? You want me to really go to the cheat sheet? Is that what you're asking me to do? I'll do it. Fine. I'll do it. Fine.
He does for sure that way.
I'll do it. Fine. Fine. I'll go to the cheat sheet. Whoops. 1 second. Where are we? Apply Tila Plagamincha. Okay. 1 second. Let me go over here. It never loads right when I do it this way. I don't know why. Oh, because it's not off to the side. No. Oh, here we go. Oh, stop that. It moves too fast. Plagamincha. Load to the side, please. Load. All right, what are we up to? We're up to brachas, dav, beis. Oh, we want to read. So we'll go over here. Go over here. Move over here. 1 second. Go over here. Wait. You make me go all the way over here. 1 second. You know how many pages this is?
Well, this is good. When I look at the recording, I'll read all the stuff, Just gotta do in reverse.
And go slow. No, you know what I do? Also, when sometimes Shabbos I have to learn, I have to print this out. Do you know how many pages this ends up being? It's 80, 90 pages. So it becomes a huge, I have to pick parts. 1 second.
Docs, what he's doing?
What?
Is this Google Docs?
Yeah, look at this. This is Google. I'll show you everything. Watch this. This is beautiful. Watch. Here's it starts. This is the Google Doc and I have everything arranged. Erevin, Shulchan Aruch, Reishon McBlaze, Biscuit Rush. I got it all.
Those are files in the folder.
Yeah, here. You go over here. Shema, only the Rabbanan. This is Tosas and Menachos. Mem Gimel over here. Tosas over here. Tosas Sukkah. Here the Kila Shaka. Look, it's all. This is how I cheat. This is called cheating. I got the Gemaras. I got the. All right, but anyway, we're up to Tosas over here. So 1 second. So you want to go to the Re. Oh, these are my notes. Oh, I'm cheating now. Worse. Okay, here was the Re.
Is this coming from Sfaria already?
This is from Safaria, yeah. No, I also use the Otzer Chachma, yeah. Okay, I can read. The Vade Krishma shall basically has Iker. Hanashim Salam Avis Jones, Sri Lankani tonight, the Gemara, Dami Mishash Kiddush Yom, V'gam Mishash Bnei Adam Nechosim Lasev Dainu Tzudas Erev Shabbos. Yaisa Mibod Yom, Mibod Yom, Mibod Yom. What does that mean? B'Yom Pesach, Mibod Yom. Umeosa Shah Aviv Mantfila, and that time is Mantfila.
But what's that mean? What does that line mean? Sounds like he's adding in, and from that time he's making his own chiddush. Why is that line added? They say "V'anu mispalim b'zman zeh" instead of also Shah. It's not like he's trying to say, and that's the time for mincha.
No, meaning Marv,
time for Marv.
When we daven Marv early, right? We daven Suda Shabbos, Erev Shabbos. That's the time when we daven Marv. Meaning those tonight hold the time. Let's say Suda Shabbos, right? Let's say Suda Shabbos time. V'tzai some mibod yom. It's mibod yom. We also shah haviz mantil, and that's the time for Marv.
Rabbi, 1 second. So according to this these sheets of the early Shema could end up being while it's still early enough to still daven mincha.
Yes. Still daven mincha. No, well, meaning it's still light outside. Yes, still light outside. Yes, before Shkia. So
Lagabi Tzvila, I'm doing a Tartu Sasri on the same day between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabban.
No. No Shita in Tosa said same day. No Shita in Tosa said that. The Achronim introduced that idea that B'di'evid, if the only way you could get a minion, you could rely. But the Rishonim.
So on Wednesday, I'm davening mincha before plag and davening Marv after plag. But that already coincidentally happens to be past the Zman. Even that is past the Zman of Shema, according to these early Shitas. Even if I daven mincha like Rabbi Yehuda.
Yeah, I mean, if I daven mincha, what? Like
mincha like Rabbi Yehuda, mincha and Marv like Rabbi Yehuda on Wednesday. On Wednesday, I daven mincha and Marv like
There's no mincha Marv. When you say mincha Marv,
I daven mincha before plag and Marv immediately after plag on Wednesday.
Right, that is, yes, you Yotze Shema according to those Shitas. That's correct.
According to those Shitas, because so their Shita would end up for Shema, would end up being at plag or even earlier.
Correct. Not earlier than plag. No, not earlier than plag.
But as early as plag.
As early as plag or later.
I can daven in 1 minute after plag according to Rabbi Yehuda.
Right, or
it's
later.
Already according to the late enough according to those Shitas to do.
Yes.
Okay. Now on Thursday, I daven mincha after plag.
Yeah.
Right. So it's for sure not a problem according to Shema, even though Lamaisa, according to those Shitas, it's late enough to say Shema, but because I daven mincha, as far as Marv goes, I have to wait until after it says to daven Marv. Not because of Shema, but only because of Tartus Sasri.
Exactly. Exactly.
So it would end up being, according to the Reed, that on Thursday, when I daven mincha after plag, I was actually davening mincha during a time where I could have already said Shema theoretically if I had davened mincha before plag.
Correct. Exactly.
So I could daven mincha theoretically, and without Tartus Sasri, I could say Shema and then daven Marv later. I mean, what does that mean?
Well, without Tartus Sasri, but it's.
How does Tartus Sasri? Does Tartus Sasri only affect the tefillah, or does it affect Shema also? Where is that?
No, it only affects Shema. According to the Reed, it only affects Shema, and Tartus Sasri is only a din in Shema, and whether you're allowed to do it or not. I mean, I'm sorry, only a din in tefillah. I'm sorry. According to the Reed, Shema has nothing to do with this issue of Yehuda and Rabbanan.
So according to Reed, on Thursday, I'm davening mincha after plag, and whatever reason, I want to daven Shema before I daven Mariv. I can daven Shema right now, immediately after I finish mincha, because I'm late enough to daven Shema.
Yeah, you'd be really not so smart to do that, because that'd be the ultimate not so much gula tefillah. But okay, yes, but you could do, in theory, you could do that. Yes.
And it's not a Tartus Sasri issue of mincha and Shema. It's only mincha and Mariv.
No, right, exactly, right.
Rabbi, what
Yes,
some Rabbanim do, like Shavuos time especially, they want to be able to start the second day early, so they daven mincha before plag, and then they daven Mariv right after plag, and they start the next day. They make kiddush mamish before Shkia. I mean, I've seen this on several occasions where
of second day yontif, meaning not the first, second day.
Right, second day yontif, they'll make kiddush of the second day as if the first day is over already, even though it's the sun is still out.
Right. Now, how do you do that? The answer is you pass like Rabbi Yehuda. According to Rabbi Yehuda, plag ends. Forget Rabbi Tam, because Rabbi Tam we don't pass like, but certainly in terms of Mincha Marav, we pass on like Rabbi Yehuda, right? We say, I hold like Rabbi Yehuda. I dam Mincha till Plag. That's the last time to dam Mincha. And right thereafter, I can dam Marav. So it's fine. Everything's fine. Now, Doraisa, Mishbru will tell you clearly for Shema, you better say the 3 parashas of Shema after Tzeis Kachavim, because we don't really hold like this Rabbeinu Tam Shita. But in terms of any Durabanans, you're allowed to rely on Rabbi Yehuda Shita and say, I dam Mincha before Plag, I dam Marav after Plag. And and even making kiddushes, Durabanan anyway the second day. So all that stuff is fine. Just make sure the Doraisas, when it comes to Kriya Shema, make sure you do that after Tzeis.
So the question is, I never asked this, isn't the second day Suffolk Yom, isn't it really a Suffolk Doraisa? Not a Suffolk Durabanan?
No, it's only a Suffolk Durabanan, because meaning we factually know when the dates are now. It's really a minhag because right. We can't be involved based in, but it's only the second day Yontif is strictly Durabanan, and it makes a difference to halacha. Many halachas are more kal second day if you have because it's Suffolk Durabanan.
Cool.
It wouldn't be so simple. Wife lighting candles though before it says though. Right?
That's a different. You have another problem there because all right,
first day for the second, they might be doing
right. You have a ton of problems, and that's why I wouldn't recommend doing that. And in fact, what I did in our shul here for Yontif, we didn't do that because we're afraid of exactly the women, lighting candles early, which meaning one day Yontif can't be meichen for another day. It's a losa say. If the first day Yontif, let's say I want to say, I'm going to cook something for tomorrow, and I can't possibly eat it today. That's you violated the rights. It's cooked on Yontif. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to light a fire. Any of these things, it's only for that day you could do it. Yeah. So if it's so, you have to be very careful with any deraisas. On the Rabbanans, you can rely on it. So davening, it's fine. But again, you have to be very careful. So I didn't do it this year. I didn't think it was wise. More than that, I was advised not to do it because Rabbi first said you better not do it. So I said, okay, I'm not doing it. Yeah. Okay. Now we have question number. Well, all right, but 1 second. Everything is 1 second. Can I say it? And everything is beautiful. We have Jake and Yaakov answered.
Is that actual song that Rabbi singing? Is that, or has Rabbi just made that up?
You have to ask Martin. Ask Martin if it's a real song. You have to be of a certain age. I'm not going to say what age. I think you have to be over 26 or 27.
I'm turning 47 in a month.
Never heard of it. I don't know. So you have to be of a certain era to be familiar. But anyway, so the bottom line is we answered 2 questions beautifully. Jake, is this what you were saying?
I think so. Yep. Beautiful.
Good work. Excellent. Now I got to teach you how to make slides, and we'll give you your own share. Can you make pretty slides? And especially 1 second, especially the tie. Where's the tie one? I got to get the tie. The ties are pretty. Where's the with the ribbon? I don't know where it is. I can't
Josh is angling for his own cheer before me.
You what?
I think Josh is angling for his own cheer before me.
Oh, all right, he's got it. All right, but you gotta have the ribbon. If you don't have the ribbon, it's not all tied up nicely. All right, so again, question number 1 we answered because how does the Rebbeinu Tam daven before? Because before it was strictly the Rabbanan. The Rabbanan we hold I don't know, Tarot Sasi doesn't bother me. It's only when you answer Shema, that's when you have to use the Psak way, the Rosh Shidra, and then you have a Tarot Sasi. The Re, on the other hand, doesn't have this problem because the Re says Shema, I use the other Shitas, and I only use for Mincha Mariv, which is the Rabbanan. That's where I'm going to use Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbanan. One night I hold like Rabbi Yehuda, next like the Rabbanan. It's a fine, like the Miri says, Shnei Shvilim. Now, question number 3, though, we have not dealt with, though. Anyone want to tackle question number 3? Let me get to the slide of question. When we get to that slide, here's question 2. 1 second, and question 3 is over here. Question number 3 is, what does Plaga Mincha have to do with Shema? This is
I was trying to address that, but I don't know if this is the part I wasn't sure if it made any sense or not. I mean, if you're saying you can't bring the carbon tumid shalbein arbaim anymore, right? That's the carbon tumid that you bring in the afternoon. So when the day ends, that's when you can no longer bring that carbon. So if Rabbi Yehuda is saying you can't bring that carbon anymore, then that means it's Lila now.
But even if you're right, the Bible says b'shach b'cha uvekumecha, b'shach b'cha. when you lie down and when you get up. Whoa, 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 whoa. Excuse me.
You know, it's an old age home. They
What?
eat dinner at 5 o'clock and they go to bed at 5:30.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the world we live in, though. I don't go to bed at 5:30 myself.
Maybe you're
Okay.
done doing all the things you need to do. You don't have to bring any more carbonos. It's time to, you can get ready for bed now.
Yeah, but your son's still out and nobody's going to sleep then.
It has to mean, Mom, you're going to sleep now. That's the way Rebbe's understanding it.
What does the Bible say? B'shachbecha, when you lie down, uvikumecha, when you get up. Okay, anyway, I'll tell you what I think the answer is. The answer is it's Zman Shchiva and Zman Kima. What I mean by that is as follows. What is the time for Kriya Shema in the morning? The time for Kriya Shema in the morning is from Alos HaShachar until 3 hours. Why until 3 hours? Even in B'nai Melachim get up by 3 hours.
Or maybe Nate's.
Well, no, you could so what you
Fortunately
want.
for us of B'nai Melachim.
Give me a minute, please. Let me just make my mistakes. After I correct you,
No, I'm
correct
just saying, fortunately for us of B'nai Melachim, others would be in all big trouble.
Okay, good. One second. So again, so the time for Midaraisa for Shema is from Alos until 3 hours. Why 3 hours? Because even the B'nai Melachim get up by 3 hours. Now, here's the following observation. You're not supposed to read Shema before Mishiyakir. Why? Because Rov B'nai Adam don't get up by Alos. Rov B'nai Adam get up by Mishiyakir. So that's why L'katchila, you're not supposed to ever read Shema before Mishiyakir. But the Eved, you're going on a trip, whatever. But you could rely on the Daraisa. But most people don't get up until Mishiyakir. So why is Alos the time when Midaraisa we say it starts? The answer is what the Torah is doing is giving us the Zman Kima. When the Torah says Bikumecha or V'shachbecha, it's telling us a time period. Just like Rabbi Yehuda's Shita by 20 Amas, when the Gemara used it was giving us a way of knowing the Shiur of a sukkah. Here the Gemara is referring to what the Torah is doing is giving us the time period of getting up. Now, when's the time period getting up? From the time the day starts until 3 hours. That's when everybody's up by then. But what's the time for getting up? The time for getting up is a day. Whenever the day starts until 3 hours. What's the Zman Shchiva? From the time the day ends until people, until the entire night, until people get up in the morning. And even after, by the way, even after Alos, you could read Shema, even after Alos, Zman of Mariv at times if you're stuck. Why? Because that whole time is considered the time of Shchiva. But when does the time of lying down start? It's the nighttime. That's when people lie down to sleep. And whenever your night starts, that's the beginning, and it continues because it's Zman Shchiva. Do I know what I'm talking about? I have nice here. Zman Shchiva is Seis or Alos, right? But it depends. Zman Shchiva means whatever you consider nightfall. So if night begins by Plag, so then that's the start of night. Zman Shchiva means the time lying down. When do you lie down? At night, all night. When do you get up? You get up the Zman from the day. Am I saying this as confusingly as possible?
Who says that's nighttime, according to Rabbi Yehuda?
It's not. This is not. This is the wrong slide. According to Rabbi Yehuda, night's time starts at Plag.
Right, I'm saying who's Mehechi Tesi, that's nighttime. Because why?
Because why else can't you bring the carbon?
Oh, okay, fine. Right, that's fine.
No, but the next step you have to take also, what does the carbon have to do with Shema? Shema is b'shachbecha. And that you have to use a step of saying Zman Shchiva and Zman Kima. The Torah is referring to a reference of a time period, the time of going to sleep. When does the time of going to sleep start? Whenever night starts, and the entire time of Shchiva. What's Kima? What's the time when you get up? From whenever day starts until people stop getting up. So Zman Kima starts from Alos, even though most people don't get up then, but it's the start of the day, so it's the daytime. Really what the Torah is saying, there's a day Marav, a day Shema, and a night Shema. There are two Shemas, the day one and the night one. What's the time for the night one? And night. And when people lie down, meaning it's a way of saying night. Zman Shchiva is like a way of saying night. And daytime is the daytime Shema, but it has to be Bekuma until people stop getting up. But it's the daytime Shema. But it's a reference of referring to a time period of a night period and a day period. I think I understand what I'm talking about. I don't know if I'm saying.
I think you're asking like a kasha on yourself when you bring up the reference to V'kumecha. V'kumecha has to be everyone's getting up at that time, and in B'shachbecha, unless you're going to say people are sleeping at that time, it's not the same at all.
No, so I'm asking a question. The kumecha, most people don't get up until Nate's. So how do you say everyone agrees the kumecha starts by a los?
Are you saying a los? No one gets up?
Not no one, but rove people. You're not supposed to read Shema before Nate Tzachama. Why? Because rove b'nei Adam do not get up until Nate Tzachama.
For Mishiakir.
What did I say? I'm sorry. What did I say?
Not Nate Tzachama, Mishiakir.
I'm sorry, Mishiakir. I'm sorry, Mishiakir. Rove b'nei Adam don't get up until Mishiakir. Therefore, don't read. You're not supposed to say Shema until Mishiakir. So what right do you have to say? You can read it midaraisa, you can read it as early as a los. And the answer is because when the Torah is saying the Zman of Kima, it's the day Shema. When do you read the day Shema? I don't want to take the time period. The day Shema from the beginning of the day until people stop getting up. And what's the night Shema? From the beginning of the night until people no longer sleep, which is after Alos, which is, by the way, why you're allowed to read the night Shema all the way up until Mishiakir. And maybe
Okay,
even maybe.
So it sounds like it would come out then if you asked Rabbeinu Tam before his chiddush that we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda, but let's say you asked him beforehand, what would Rabbi Yehuda say about when you could say Shema? He would have told you even then that Rabbi Yehuda himself holds you could say Shema right after Magen Avram's Zman.
Correct.
That's not his chiddush. That's Mamela comes from paskin like Rabbi Yehuda.
Right. Correct.
Therefore, it's not two steps really. According to him, it's really only one step. Because all along he would tell you that Rabbi Yehuda holds you can say Shema after Plaga Mincha. That's what he would say 100%. And therefore, if we pass like Rabbi Yehuda, of course, that's what we hold.
But it's a second step still that you're allowed to pass like Rabbi Yehuda on a deraisa, and that's what creates a Tartir Sasri. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
But it's saying he must be that he held shtar. According to Rabbi Yehuda himself, he himself held that you could say Shema right after Plag.
Yep, 100%. You're right. Yes, absolutely.
So what would Rabbi, before Rabbi made this, these Gedarim of Zman Shiva and Zman Kima, you said it would be the only time when the majority of people would be sleeping or waking up, or it'd be like mamash, the second you wake up, you have to say it. The second you lay down, you have to say it.
I don't know. Yeah, if you read the Bible, literally, it's when you lie down. If you lie down at 2 a.m. or 2 p.m., that's when you read it. Vikumecha, when you get up at 1 o'clock in the morning, afternoon, that's when you, but that's not pshat in the pasuk. What the Gemara is telling us is Zman Shchiva and Zman Kima. It's telling you a reference time to the day Shema and the night Shema. And when's the day Shema? From the beginning of the day until people no longer get up. What's the night Shema? From night until people no longer sleep.
And what's the logic to say you're being magdared around the carbon Talmud Shalban or Bime? Because afterwards it's not afternoon anymore? Is that what Rabbi
it's night. The night starts.
Because it's not afternoon, because you can't bring the carbon.
Right. Why can't you bring the carbon after Plag? Because I'll tell you why, because the day ended. The days are over. Day's gone. Finished. That's why I can't bring it anymore. The Ben Arbaim ends. Why is Ben Arbaim ends? Because it's the next day already.
The Shagasari question gets answered in Mamela, right?
Right, exactly, 100%. Because the Shagasari's whole question was, you can't use Avikamar on the Deraisa. With all due respect, you can, because if you hold like the Rush, you can, because it's Psak. That's meaning his whole kasha was you can only use it on Safek the Rabbanan. That's true according to the Meiri. But if you use the Russian system, why can't you use it on the Deraisa? I have a Kra Paskin like Rabbi Yehuda Vadai.
Is Rabbi hanging his hat on the lashon of Kaimalan Rabbi Yehuda to say that that's like a raya that he's saying Vados we Paskin like him?
I think pretty much. I am pretty impressed with that as I wouldn't call it raya gemura, but certainly what the stipel is called smuchim. It's definitely
Because a couple lines later, he uses the exact same lashon as the Kaimalan Karabana.
Because that's you have to use that for the halach of davening.
Right, but why is he using that lashon then twice? One time he means Vados, one time he means
yeah, because that's why it's a stira. That's what's tied to the sasri. I mean, again, I don't know how much I put on the but I think so. Kaimalan. I mean, the Kaimalan means we paskin that way.
So sorry, what does it mean when we say it according to the Rabbanan? Why does he say that lashon again? Kaimalan.
Now I got to jump back to the sheets. I got to find the challenge.
The next one. It's not there.
I don't have the slide. No, I don't think I have the slide. 1 second. and the Mantila Mincha meaning just like I told you, Paskin like Rabbi Yehuda. And now, how can I explain davening Mariv? Answer is in regards to that, you have to hold we Paskin like the Rabbanan. That's what makes the Tarti the Sasri. The only way, meaning if we Paskin Rabbi Yehuda Vadai, the only way you can Paskin like the Rabbanan is Vadai also, because now we're in the Rosh Shita. We're in the Rosh Shita of Psak. So that's why we Paskin Rabbi Yehuda. But then the only way you could explain davening Mincha early is that you Paskin Psak like the Rabbanan. And that's a Tatir Sasri.
Even though at that point we're talking to Rabbana, now we're not talking to
But you can't, Avi Kamar doesn't mean two things. It's either the Rosh or the Miri. It can't mean two things. So if I say it's Mamish Psak, so that's what it means. So Kaimalon Rabbi Yehuda. Well, then I got a problem. How do you dam mincha early? Well, I guess you got a Kaimalon Kid Rabbanan. Well, that's a strange thing to do because that's Tatir Sasri. You're right. And everything is beautiful. At least I think it is. I hope it is.
Yeah, I just looked up Ray Stevens, 1970. It's a little before my time.
Oh, Martin, what is that? Is he even close? Is he even close to right?
I just looked it up. I Googled it. Ray Stevens, everything is beautiful, 1970.
It's actually before that.
That was the remake.
Yeah.
That was the remake. Google it again. Find the original. And just make sure is after the 1850s, because all right, gentlemen, good. We'll pick up tomorrow. I want to do some halacha Tuesday night. Belina, we'll do that. Rabbeinu Tam. I think it's very important. Coven Martin will do that. I think it's very important to see why do we keep, why do we accept Shabbos by Shkia? We stop by say, it's like, well, make up my mind. We draw Rabbeinu Tam, where does it come from? What's going on? And, right. So Belina, we'll do that Tuesday night.
Thank
and then
you.
we'll go from. All right.
Start the next your Thursday, or we're gonna
what?
Are we gonna start the next your Thursday then? Or?
I'm not sure. That's a good question.
Probably a lot of halacha to do.
I would like to also do Reish Lamed Beis and Reish Lamed Gimel Mincha Marav Halacha L'Maisa.
It might not be a bad idea to get back on track with starting on Sundays. No.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something else. Also, it would be a shame to go through this sugya and not learn the halachas, because that'd be. So maybe we should spend the next two things.
There's a lot of manim that's connected to this. We just don't know, like how plug or like why it is we do Shabbos. You have to have mincha before plug, but you can't light candles till after plug.
Confusing, right? So Tuesday, maybe we'll do that. Tuesday, Thursday, Belina will do some halachas.
It came up. I had this summer. I had a problem because I was by myself without my wife. I said, "What am I supposed to do? I'm going to shul. I'm davening mincha, but I can't light candles because I'm already in shul."
Oh.
What do I do now? It's like, what do I do? My wife's not like at home lighting candles, so what am I supposed to do?
Light out tonight. That's not so sure. Right?
So I lit before plug without a bracha.
Yeah.
That's supposed to do. But I spoke to another Rav. He says not so pushy to do that even because you're being samech on lighting before plug.
You're right.
It's an interesting shiloh. There are single men who if they're making early Shabbos, what are they supposed to do?
I hear you. All right,
We're
good.
supposed to get married.
That's why
for me, it was only 1 week. I married Baruch Hashem. It was just my wife wasn't there, so
All right, good. All right, good. So we'll see you guys tonight. Guys, okay.
Good night.
All right.
What were you saying?